welcome back to my channel. Hope you've all had a wonderful day. Today's video is a little bit of a different spin on my TBR for September. So before I get into it, I just want to say yes, I have changed my hair again. I re-dyed it red and I really didn't like the colour it came out, so I put a brown over the top and now it's like a reddy brown. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. So yeah, now that's out of the way, I basically spoke to Nikki and said, I'm getting really bored. I don't want to keep choosing my Bronte books to help me choose prompts to choose my books. And she suggested, rather than using my Bronte books, would I like her to play a game of her BookGammon game for me in order to help me choose my books. And I was so excited. I love watching Nikki's BookGammon every month. And yeah, so basically we had a lovely time. We had a little FaceTime catch up, and then Nikki played a game of BookGammon for me so that I could have my prompts to play my game. So if you haven't been over to the lovely Nikki's channel and you haven't seen her play BookGammon, I will leave a link in the description down below so you can head over there and give her some love. Yeah, it's a great way to choose your TBR. It's incredible. I don't think anyone else on YouTube does it, so if you're interested in seeing something a little bit different, then definitely head over there. So let's get into what BookGammon did for me. So we started off with one dice and it went really quick and I had like 2 books. Oh no, we had 2 dice, but I went around the board really quick. And then Nikki said, why don't we do it again? But you only have like 1 dice, I think that was, yeah, and 1 dice and like 2 dice and 2 counters rather than just the singular counter. So I had 10 prompts, which is a lot more than my usual amount in terms of like picking my TBR. Normally I stick around the 8 mark, and normally I tend to read about 6. Oh, yawning, sorry. But yeah, so we have 10. So the first one I got was purple non-fiction and the oldest on my TBR. Now I have pre-chosen some of these just to make it a bit easier for this filming, but I do have one that I'm going to pick with you guys. So yeah, let's just get into it. So the first one, purple non-fiction, oldest on your TBR, is this one. It is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. I bought this 3-4 years ago maybe, when her Netflix series came out and everyone was raving on about the best way to declutter and tidy your home, and I really wanted to get it and read it, and I never got around to reading it. So yes, this is the oldest one on my TBR that is a non-fiction. And it just says, Marie Kondo has changed the homes and lives of people around the world with her simple KonMari method. Her approach will help you to look at your belongings in a new light and encourage you to ask one simple question. Do they spark joy? Though treasuring the things you love and letting go of things you don't, you'll only create a beautiful home, but find the confidence and motivation to live the life you long for and make the space for future success. So I've been doing a lot of decluttering lately and kind of trying to minimalise my objects in my space. So I'm hoping this one is going to give me a bit more inspiration to kind of do that as well. So that is book number 1. Book number 2 was a domestic thriller. So I actually thought I had more of these than I do. So I went for this one. It is Come a Little Closer by Karen Perry. I've never read it. But it just says, Leah is new to Wyndham Park, lonely and isolated. She befriends her upstairs neighbour, Anton. Anton has only recently returned to the neighbourhood after a long absence, and he's lonely too. But what Anton doesn't tell Leah is why he's been away. 19 years ago, he was imprisoned for killing his wife, a wife that looked just like Leah. Was he wrongly convicted, or is Leah falling into the trap of a killer? So yes, I had another one that I had in mind, but domestic thrillers, I think the point is that you don't really have very much police involvement, and a lot of the other ones, even though they have a domestic setting, there are police officers that obviously become involved. So I'm hoping this one fits the bill. So there is that one. Next up is Orange, a classic with a male lead character. Now, I don't actually have that many classics left, but I did have this one. It's Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. I actually watched the TV series that they brought out of this adaptation, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I know classics I can find a little bit daunting. So I do have the physical book, but I might try and read along with the audiobook if I can find it. And it just says, Pip is a boy with few prospects when he stumbles upon a runaway convict called Magwitch, who convinces Pip to aid his escape. Little do they know that this innocent act of kindness will have far-reaching consequences for them both. Then Pip receives a curious invitation to the grand house of Miss Havisham, where he is introduced to and mesmerised by the beautiful but cold-hearted Estella. And so, two chance meetings begin this tale of morality, love, obsession, and Pip's transformation into a man of great expectations. So yeah, I did really love the series, so I'm really hoping I will enjoy the book. It is quite a chunky book. It is 460 pages, but the font is like super titch. So yes, I will probably read along with something on Scribd with this one, I think. But I am excited to finally get to it. It has been on my shelf for a really long time. So yeah, I'm excited to get to that one. Next up is a middle grade of popular choice. So middle grade is one of the things my shelf doesn't really have. It has like the odd one or two that I've kind of read throughout my childhood, but it really doesn't have any kind of popular choice or new ones that are on the scene at the moment. So I obviously mentioned that to Nikki, and I kind of said, I don't really know what to do. I don't have any of those kind of books. And she suggested that I read Nevermore or Adam 2 or Alistair Chisholm's Orion Lost. So I am going to read Orion Lost by Alistair Chisholm. So Nikki rated this very, very highly a few months back when she read it. She absolutely adored the book and the story. So I'm actually quite excited to get into that and see how I feel about it, and to maybe have a chat with Nikki about it after I've read it, share my thoughts, stuff like that. So yes, I will be reading Orion Lost by Alistair Chisholm. I don't obviously have the physical copy. I have found it on Scribd, so I hope to read it on there. But I'm excited to see how we get on. Then next up is a classic that you are to read at night time. So I actually kind of ran out of classics at this point. Great Expectations was my last one. So again, I was talking to Nikki, and I watched her wrap-up video, and she mentioned The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. So I actually plan on reading that one. Again, it's on Scribd, so I can access it there. It's quite a short one, I think. So there's a prince and a pauper, and they swap places. That's kind of all I really know about it, but I am really excited to give that one a read also. Right, the next up was Purple Non-Fiction TBR mug. So I actually don't have a TBR mug, but the idea is that you would choose a book out of the mug, and whatever that book is you can read, so it doesn't have to be a non-fiction. So I thought I'm gonna let my Bronte box take the reins on this one, as she has been made redundant for this month. And I'm just gonna pick out a prompt and choose a book based on that prompt. So it's yellow, and it says the 26th book on your shelf. So I will count that for you, bear with. Okay, so the 26th book on my shelf, and we got super lucky with this one, because I knew the minute that that prompt came out, it was going to go straight up to fantasy at the top, and that is where I've kept most of my series. And I thought, oh, I really don't want to start another series. I have so many that I'm halfway through. And then I realised that the other day that I'd been shoving books in places to make it look less messy. And this one is number 26. So this is Cold Spell by Jackson Pearce. And it is a retelling of The Snow Queen, which is one of my all-time favourite stories. So yeah, I am pretty chuffed that this one was just shoved in there for me to find. And it just says, Ginny and Kai are in love, or so Ginny thought. A mysterious girl with beauty as flawless as ice enchants Kai. When he is swept away by this intoxicating snow maiden, Ginny must cast aside her fears and pursue him. In the face of mortal danger, will Ginny and Kai's love hold strong or melt slowly away? So as I said, I absolutely love the Snow Queen. I think it's a fabulous story. So I am really excited to see how Jackson Pearce retells it in a different way. So yes, super, super excited about that one. Next up is Purple Nonfiction, and a book with an introduction or a preface. So I actually found this one a little bit hard because I was going to use the Marie Kondo for that prompt. And then I remembered that last month I'd put something on my Instagram about which book should I read. I gave two choices, and the one that didn't get picked was Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. So this has a foreword, which I am told still counts as an introduction or a preface. So yes, I'm really excited to be finally getting to this one. Those of you that have been with me a while, you'll probably remember that a few years ago, pre-COVID, I visited Amsterdam with my sister and we went to the Anne Frank house, and I purchased my very own copy of her book. And I've never read it before. Anne Frank has always been something that I've been really, really intrigued by, the story itself. I've seen a couple of theatre adaptations about it, and I am going to see one again in September this year with my sister again. And she has already read it. She's not a reader at all. She like very rarely picks up anything, but she has already read this, so I need to catch her up. But I am really, really excited. So that is that one. Then next up is a contemporary with a pretty cover. So I think it's very pretty. It kind of gives me Nightmare Before Christmas vibes because of the hill and all the houses. But I think it's really pretty. I like the sunset-y kind of colouring that we have here, and it is a book that has been on my shelf for an incredibly long time. I went through a bit of a phase of trying to get all of Carrie Hope Fletcher's and all of Giovanna Fletcher's books, and I've had them sat there for an incredibly long time. So this is Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher, and it just says, Sophie May has a secret, one that she's successfully kept for years. It's meant that she's had to give up her dreams of going to university and travelling the world to stay in her little village, living with her mum and working in the local tea shop. But then she meets the gorgeous Billy, an actor with ambitions to make it to the top, and when they fall in love, Sophie is whisked away from the comfort of her life into Billy's glamorous but ruthless world. Their relationship throws Sophie right into the spotlight after years of shying away from attention. Can she handle the constant scrutiny that comes with being with Billy? And most of all, is she ready for her secret heartbreak to be discovered and shared with the nation? So I've never actually read any of Giovanna Fletcher's books, I don't think. Well, no, I think I've read one. But this one I'd been putting off because it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, I think I'm going to really enjoy it, so I want to save it. But really, I should just read it. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to read this one. I have the like little mini Christmas one that she did after this and the sequel. So I would like to get them read. I realise I'm starting like a little trilogy again, so it's not helping my series out. But I am excited. So there's that. Then next up, it's a fantasy with sprayed or decorated edges. Now, I didn't have any of those. I don't tend to buy my books brand new from Waterstones, which is where you tend to get your pretty fancy covers and your sprayed edges and all that kind of stuff. I'm a charity shop book kind of gal. Secondhand has always kind of been the way I've gone with books. So I didn't have any like that. But I spoke to Nikki and we came up with getting something that had like a pretty spine. So I've gone for A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I don't know loads about this other than the fact it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And that's pretty much it. That's all I know. Again, I realise I'm starting another series here. But it's okay. We're going to be fine. I kind of want to wrap up all the series I've started this year by the end of the year, so you might see more of them coming in my next like TBRs, but we'll see how we get on with that. So it just says, Prince Wren, the heir to Ember, was cursed, forced to repeat the autumn of his 18th year over and over. He can only be freed if a girl truly falls for him, and after so many failures, his kingdom and its people are barely holding on. Harper's life has never been easy, but she's learnt to be tough enough to survive the streets of Washington, D.C. When she's sucked into Wren's world, nothing is as it seems. Powerful forces are standing against Emberfell, and it will take more than a broken curse to save it from utter ruin. So I have heard really good things about this one. I've heard not so great things about the final book in the series, so I'm a bit scared about that. But I am looking forward to seeing how Wren and Harper untangle. But yes, I am excited to give that one a go. Next up is a classic one set in a foreign country. Again, as I said before, I have kind of run out of classics, but I have this book on Greek mythology, and I bought it an incredibly long time ago, and it basically just has information about like the gods, and then it goes into like a bit more information about specific gods. So yeah, I am counting this one. It just says the creation of the gods, the heroes, the Trojan War, and the Odyssey. So it isn't a particularly long book, I don't believe. Phew, bless me. It is 171 pages, so it's not long. It does look big, and I imagine there is a lot of information crammed in here, but it has been sat on my shelf for such a long time that I really want to get round to reading it, learning a bit more about Greek mythology, and yeah, just seeing if I can find out some cool stuff. My other half Dre is part Greek, so and he knows a lot about the Greek gods, and I don't know anything. So yeah, I am gonna use this to teach myself a little bit. So there is that. And then the last book, so they are the 10 that I have chosen for my BookGammon prompts. But the last book I have to choose is my buddy read. So me and Nikki are continuing on with the Ugly series by Scott Westerfeld. The next book in the series is Specials. So it follows Tally, who doesn't want to become pretty, but then does, and then other stuff happens. I'm not going to go into it because I feel like if you haven't read it, it's just going to spoil it. So you should read it because it's incredible. But yes, so this is Specials by Scott Westerfeld. It is the 3rd book in the series, and then Extras is right at the top, and that follows the other 3. So yeah, they are my 11 books on my TBR. I'm scared. I don't normally pick this many books. I'm pretty sure there aren't going to be any DNFs this month, but we shall see. So yeah, they are my 10 books that I have picked. If you've read any of them, let me know what you thought. No spoilers, please. But yeah, wish me luck. Take care, and I will see you guys in my wrap up.